Utilitarianism. What is utilitarianism? The word utilitarian is derived from the Latin words, utile bonum, or utilis, which means usefulness. The utilitarian ethics is considered the most important consequentialist theory, whose principle is best explained by the maxim, do whatever produces the greatest good for the greatest number. Utilitarianism is a theory very much similar to hedonism, a school of thought that considers pleasure as the highest goods. Ethical hedonists believe that the only things good in themselves are the experiences of positive conscious states, such as enjoyment and pleasure, and the only things bad in themselves are the experiences of negative conscious states, such as misery and pain. Happiness and suffering are commonly used by philosophers as shorthand for the terms positive conscious experience and negative conscious experience respectively. Founders of utilitarianism. Jeremy Bentham was an English philosopher and political radical. He is primarily known today for moral philosophy, especially his principle of utilitarianism, which evaluates actions based upon their consequences. He became a leading theorist in Anglo-American philosophy of law, and a political radical whose ideas influenced the development of welfarism. He advocated individual and economic freedoms, the separation of church and state, freedom of expression, equal rights for women, the right to divorce, and the decriminalizing of homosexual acts. He called for the abolition of slavery, capital punishment and physical punishment, including that of children. He has also become known as an early advocate of animal rights. Though strongly in favor of the extension of individual legal rights, he opposed the idea of natural law and natural rights, both of which are considered divine, or God-given, in origin, calling them nonsense upon stilts. Bentham was also a sharp critic of legal fictions. John Stuart Mill profoundly influenced the shape of 19th-century British thought and political discourse. His substantial corpus of works includes texts in logic, epistemology, economics, social and political philosophy, ethics, metaphysics, religion, and current affairs. Mill was a proponent of utilitarianism, an ethical theory developed by his predecessor Jeremy Bentham. He contributed to the investigation of scientific methodology, though his knowledge of the topic was based on the writings of others, notably William Whewell, John Herschel, and Auguste Comte, and research carried out for Mill by Alexander Bain. He engaged in written debate with Whewell. 4 elements of utilitarianism. 1. Consequentialism is the view that one morally ought to promote just good outcomes. For instance, when breaking a promise has bad consequences, as it usually does, consequentialists oppose it. However, breaking a promise is not considered wrong in itself. In exceptional cases, breaking a promise could be the morally best action available, such as when it is necessary to save a life. 2. Welfarism. The view that only the welfare, also called well-being, of individuals determines the value of an outcome. From a welfarist perspective, good consequences are those which increase well-being in the world, while bad consequences are those which decrease it. For instance, money can buy many useful things and is thus good for a person instrumentally, but it is not a component of their well-being. 3. Impartiality. The view that the identity of individuals is irrelevant to the value of an outcome. Accepting this conception of impartiality means treating well-being as equally valuable regardless of when, where or to whom it occurs. 4. Aggregationism is the view that the value of the world is the sum of the values of its parts, where these parts are local phenomena such as experiences, lives, or societies. When combined with welfarism and the equal consideration of interests, This view implies that we can meaningfully add up the well-being of different individuals, and use this total to determine which trade-offs are worth making. For example, utilitarianism claims that improving 5 lives by some amount is better than improving 1 life by the same amount, and that it is 5 times better.